Good morning, dear students. I am Rajesh and you are watching Learning SS with Rajesh YouTube channel. Dear student, I hope you are well at home and you are preparing for your term 1 exam successfully. So, you have revised the lesson number 2 in Civics and we are going to study the lesson number 2 Constitutional Design today to a revision for term 1. So let's start our today's work from ninth class CBSE lesson number 2 Constitutional Design. To start with the lesson, your first question will be in your mind, sir. We don't know the meaning of constitution because we are reading about constitutional design. Firstly, we should know the meaning of constitution. You know, constitution is a document, is a supreme law that contains fundamental rules, and that fundamental rules to run the government or to run the administration of the country, and these supreme law and fundamental rules are known as constitution. I hope you learned the meaning of constitution easily. Now, as the lesson shows, constitutional design. Whose constitutional design we are going to learn in lesson number 2 of civics? We are going to learn about Indian constitutional design, how the Indian constitution was prepared. But firstly, there will be a next question in your mind, sir, why do we need constitution? So you learned the meaning, but you have another question in your mind, sir. For example, constitution is a supreme law that contains fundamental rules to run the government. So what are the needs of that constitution? So we should know why do we need constitution now, but with help of example from South Africa. So next question we will read apartheid policy in South Africa. There was apartheid policy in South Africa. What was that apartheid policy? You'll also learn this policy in 6th class civics, but now we will revise now. Apartheid policy means discrimination on the basis of color. There was discrimination on the basis of color, skin color, known as apartheid policy. What was the racial policy there? What type of colors of skin there in South Africa? White people behaved badly with black people or non-white people, And this policy was known as apartheid policy. And there were different institutions. School, colleges, hospitals, bus stand, railway station, all the institutions were different for whites and non-whites or black people. And nextly, there were different colonies also. It means house settlement were also different for whites. It means ex-colony is made for white people only, and there will be no space for black people or non-white people, and Z colony is prepared for black and non-white people. I hope you learned the meaning of apartheid policy now, and in the first point you learned the meaning of constitution. Now we will read that who fought against that apartheid policy in South Africa. Role of Nelson Mandela against apartheid policy. AP is written there, apartheid policy, AP. AP here means apartheid policy. What was the role of Nelson Mandela to struggle against apartheid policy? So firstly we know that he opposed that policy named as apartheid policy. And to oppose that policy, the white government sent him to jail in 1964. So you have to prepare for objective type. When was Nelson Mandela sent to jail? He was sent to jail by white government in 1964. And next, he spent 28 years in jail. The Robben Island, the most terrible jail of South Africa, he spent 28 years there. And After coming from jail, and he wrote an autobiography, autobiography named as The Long Walk to Freedom. It will be also important question for objective type. What was the autobiography written by Nelson Mandela? The Long Walk to Freedom. And he was also the major leader of ANC, African National Congress Party, that was opposing the apartheid policy. So what was the role of Nelson Mandela to struggle against apartheid policy? You can write that he opposed that policy, and that's why he was sent to jail for 28 years, and he wrote a book named as The Long Walk to Freedom. And he was also the leader of African National Congress that fought against apartheid policy. And with the effort of Nelson Mandela, finally we will know that policy came to an end in 1994. So we will read about the next process now. I hope you learned the second point, the role of Nelson Mandela. Now, when the racial policy came to an end, there was a new constitution in South Africa. There was a making of new constitution in South Africa to solve this problem of apartheid policy. So that's why there was a republic. South Africa became republic on 26 April 1994. It will be also objective type question in your exam. When was South Africa become a republic country? And you know the meaning of republic here? You know that a republic country means the head of the state is a elected person. And who became the first president? Nelson Mandela. On 26 April. And you are going to learn about the need of constitution now. In this stanza, that after making of constitution, there was end of racial policy. Racial policy came to an end. And there was equality set up among the people in South Africa. And there was freedom also for all of them. And there was democracy set up in Africa after making a new constitution in 1994. And Nelson Mandela said that we will not follow that policy of apartheid in the future. If they have done a crime, it means if white people have done a crime, but we will not follow that policy in the near future or in the future after making this new constitution. I hope you learned the major point of today, that why do we need constitution. We learned that there was apartheid policy in South Africa. Nelson Mandela fought against it, and it came to an end, in the constitution while making the new constitution for Africa. And in that constitution everything is written that there will be no apartheid policy, there will be equality and freedom and democracy. And to solve such type of conflicts, to give equality to the people, to give freedom to the people, we need constitution. I hope you learned now why do we need constitution. Now let's move toward the making of Indian constitution. Next point of today is why do we need constitution. Now I'm 100% sure that you can tell me the answer now. Why do we need constitution? Sir, we need constitution to make equality in the society, for freedom of the people, to run the government in a better manner, and to adjust the society. To adjust the society here means to adjust the society like Africa. There were white and non-white people. If there will be no constitution, how can we adjust the society? So in a constitution, it's clearly written that there will be socialism, or it means equality among the people. If there is written that it will be equality in the society, it means it will adjust the society. No conflict will be there. And to control the government also. The major point of why do we need constitution? to control the government, because the limitation of the leader also written in that constitution, that they can be chosen for 5 years and they can do such type of work, specific works are written. So that's why we can say that constitution also put limits on the leaders and the government. I hope you learned the point now. Nextly, making toward or making of Indian constitution, and how was Indian constitution prepared. It will be 5 marks question in exam. Making write a note on making of Indian constitution and how was Indian constitution prepared. So we know that how was Indian constitution prepared, and you learned that Motilal Nehru drafted firstly Indian constitution in 1928. He drafted that what type of constitution will be for India, firstly by Motilal Nehru. Nextly, in 1931, in Karachi session of Congress, as I told you that Congress Party, Indian National Congress Party was formed in 1885, and after 1885 there was a session of Indian National Congress every year, and in 1931 their session was held in Karachi. Now Karachi is in Pakistan. And in Karachi session, Congress discussed about it. About it here means about the making of Indian Constitution. Nextly, there was Constituent Assembly prepared to make Indian Constitution, and it was made according to on the demand, on the recommendation of Cabinet Mission. Constituent Assembly elections were held in July 1946 to choose 389 members. What was the third process? There was Constituent Assembly made, elected for making Indian Constitution. And how many members were elected? 389 members. And you also learned that there were 15 female candidates in that Constituent Assembly. Female like Durgabai Deshmukh, Sarojini Naidu, Rajkumari, Amrit Kaur. I hope you learned this third point now. And the fourth major point of making Indian Constitution is, after the election of Constituent Assembly, there was a meeting of Constituent Assembly in December 1946, and in that meeting Constituent Assembly chose their head or chairman, and who was the chairman of that Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as a chairman of Constituent Assembly. It will be also major objective type question in exam. And nextly, Indian Constitution was prepared or finalized on 26 November 1946, and on that day Constituent Assembly adopted it. It will be very important objective type question in exam and in competition also, competitive exam. When was Indian Constitution adopted by Constituent Assembly? And it was adopted on 26 November 1946, and on 26 November Indian Constitution Day is also celebrated, because on 26 November Indian Constitution was prepared, finally prepared. And the last major point, Indian Constitution was implemented on 26 January 1946, and India became a republic country on that day. That's why India celebrate Republic Day on 26 January every year. I hope you learned the making of Indian Constitution now. Now the next major point, there was a drafting committee also made for making Indian Constitution. Drafting here means to prepare the draft, major idea of Indian Constitution. There was drafting committee prepared, and that drafting committee, major objective of drafting committee was to draft Indian constitution. And the chairman of that drafting committee was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And 6 other members were also there. 7 members were there in drafting committee. And nextly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was head of drafting committee, and so that's why he prepared the major draft of Indian constitution, and he was known as father of Indian constitution. And nextly, I hope you learned the major 2-3 points related to drafting committee. I hope you are learning enjoying today's session and learning very easily. Lesson number 2. Now, at last, we are going to read about the philosophy of Indian constitution, or what type of country India will be according to constitution, according to preamble of Indian constitution. Now we will learn that according to constitution, India will be a sovereign country. Now, what is the meaning of sovereign here? India will be what type of country India will be according to constitution? India will be a sovereign country. Sovereign here means free country, that people have right to make decision, is known as sovereign country. As you learned that before 1947, India was not a sovereign country because there was a British ruling power, and India was not a free country, and Indians were not free to make their decision. And when they free to make decision, it means the term is known as sovereign. I hope you learned the first point now. And the next is socialist country. Socialist here means society based on equality. India will be a socialist country according to constitution, and socialist here means society based on equality. And the next point, India will be a secular country. In 8th class you learned that understanding secularism. Secular here means equality in religion. It means all religions will be equal in country. This term is known as secularism. And you know, India is a secular country because there is all religions are equal there. And next, according to constitution, India will be a democratic country. Democratic, you know very well in the first lesson, people will choose their leader, there will be free and fair election and regular elections. And finally, India will be a republic country. Republic here means the head of state is an elected person. Head of state is an elected person. Here state here means the whole country, not a state, separate state like Haryana and Punjab. Here state means the head of country. You know that in India head of country is president. And now you know that who is the president of India? Draupadi Murmu. Draupadi Murmu. And you know Draupadi Murmu is an elected person. And if there is elected person in a country, president or means head of state is an elected person, and this system is known as a republic. And you know India is a republic country. I hope you learned the major point or mean the lesson number 2 of civics easily. And now for your betterment, for on your requirement, dear students, I made a PDF for you, and link is given in the description box for your better preparation, and you can find your PDF in description. Thank you and have a nice day. If you are new on my YouTube channel, please subscribe the channel, like and share also. Thank you and have a nice day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.